I Go to Japan, written by Dan Schneider and Andrew Hill Newman. The premise, the iCarly gang are off to Japan for the iWeb Awards, but something is standing in their way of winning an award. Now I remember watching this for the first time like it was yesterday when I was a kid. It was so much fun to finally see like a feature-length episode of iCarly, because this comes before the Victorious one, I'm pretty sure. Or at least I saw it before. And I remember the first time I watched it, I was in like my nan's little box room sleeping around my nan's house, and I was on a little iPad, and I think I'd pirated it or something, because I don't know how I'd have seen it otherwise, but it was on a little iPad. Something that annoys me about iCarly is when they're finishing up the show, Freddie goes, "And we're clear," which means he presses the clear button, like as he says clear, which means at the end of every iCarly broadcast, you just get, "And we're beep," and then it's the end. Like, I don't know why he doesn't just like turn it off and then say we're clear. It really winds me up. It's a small little thing. The comedy is on point this episode, this film, with Spencer still being my favourite character, and I think the funniest character in the iCarly franchise. The whole soap running joke throughout the whole film, I was sat there, and every time he brought up eating soap, it really made me laugh, and it went on throughout the whole thing. It went on probably too long for the average person, but for me, a joke is at its most funniest when it's overused. I find that so much more funny. So yeah, Spencer talking about eating soap is just hilarious to me. It's very funny, and he has the best comedy moments in this film for sure, without a doubt. Another one that springs to mind is when him and Mrs. Benson have just had their massage, and he goes into the vent system and says, "Whoa, it's so dark in here," and she says, "Can you see anything?" He goes, "No, it's so dark in here." It's just basic small one-liners that are just cheeky and funny, and so Spencer, and I love it. This film looks really cheap. Like the green screen shots of whether they're in the car or the plane, or the fact that they're not really in the desert, which as a kid I didn't realise, but now looking back it's so obvious that they're not in a desert, they're actually just on green screen. It looks cheap, but you know, it's made for kids, so I'm sure they wouldn't notice. I didn't notice as a kid, so I'm sure it's fine. The strong seaweed stuff is a bit far-fetched, although it did make me want to eat seaweed as a kid. Like as a kid I was literally like dying to eat seaweed because Spencer made it look so yummy. I don't really like seaweed, to be fair. Like I used to, but I've gone off it a little bit for anyone who gives a toss. But yeah, it was a bit far-fetched that they were wrapped up in seaweed, but it's silly, it's goofy, it's for a kid's show. And what I respect about these films is something that I didn't like about I Party with Victorious, but at least they still did it, was they don't feel like an F plot. When you write sitcoms, because again I wrote sitcoms, if I've not mentioned, you get told do an A plot and a B plot and maybe a C plot if you absolutely need to. But I think sod that, man. If you're doing a feature film, you just stick in a D plot for 5 minutes. Why not? Stick in a random panda going around slapping people. I don't like it, but you know, it works for kids. It's silly, it's slapstick, and it works. So do that. Why not do that? And this film, I can't think off the top of my head if it did that, but I'm sure it did, which means it was subtle enough to the point where I didn't even notice. So I can really respect that about these films. They really did a good job of making Kyoko and Yuki look really evil to us, because from the off, you get an odd vibe about them from the moment you're in the car and they start arguing. I don't really know what that was about. I don't know why they were arguing. I don't think they needed to. They could have just like pulled over and said that they ran out of petrol like they later did. I don't know why, unless they actually were arguing. I always assumed it was like a ruse, but maybe they were arguing, who knows. We always give Mrs. Benson a lot of stick in, as like, I say us as iCarly fans, but back in the day, like Mrs. Benson was the overprotective, really quite annoying and jarring mum, similar to how Trina's the really over annoying and really jarring sister in Victorious. But as I've grown up, I've loved Trina a lot more, and I think I love Mrs. Benson a lot more as well. I respect how much she's willing to go to make sure her son has a great life. Like if you look at the end of the film when they're trying to get into the Web Awards and the security guards aren't letting them in, as soon as she realises that how important this is to Freddie, she sacrifices herself, potentially getting shot. I don't know what the laws are in Japan if police can shoot people for doing stuff, I don't know, but let's say tasered minimum, maybe. Yeah, I'm not too sure on the laws of anywhere else. I just assume outside of the UK everywhere else has guns, but it might not be true. But either way, she could get tackled by the police officers for committing an offence like ripping a police officer's pay off, but she does that for the kids. She does it for them because she is a good woman. She's annoying, yeah, but she's a good woman, and I found a newfound respect for Mrs. Benson in this film. And although the resolution of her having Freddie microchipped, come on, that's so convenient and not built up to. It would literally, all it would take is at the start of the episode to add another scene in and make it really short and just have a bit of throwaway dialogue about having him chipped, so it's slightly built up to. It's so convenient to be like, how do we get them out of this one? The gang are stranded in the middle of nowhere. How does Mrs. Benson get out of to have him microchipped? She had it microchipped and is never mentioned before. It would have made a lot more sense to have had her at the beginning of the episode throw a tracker in Freddie's backpack or something. You know what I mean? Or like put it in his shoe. Like that would have been such an easy throwaway piece of dialogue of like, and I'm putting this tracker in Freddie's shoe in case he gets lost. Blah, 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 ominous foreshadowing. Instead it's like, oh yeah, I had him microchipped when he was a baby and I've never mentioned it before, but I'm bringing it up now. Convenient, boring, not entertaining, and I find it really cheap. It's a cheap, lazy, get out of jail free card. I really wish she'd have just put a tracker on him, like I've just said. That would have satisfied me a lot more than this. This has a lot more diversity than I Party with Victorious because it's set in multiple different places. Like I Party with Victorious primarily is set in that one house in Is it Kel or Keenan? No, Keenan Thompson's house. Keenan Thompson's house. Whereas here, we're set all over Japan. I mean, obviously not. It's probably just some studios in LA. But it's set in Keenan Thompson's house in I Party with Victorious. But here, it's set across the whole of Japan, as we think. I mean, like I said, it looks really cheap. Jumping out the plane, stuff like that. That scene was good, though. I really enjoyed that scene and those beats. But even though it looked cheap, the diversity of the sets really did make it more interesting and entertaining than I Party with Victorious. I don't know which one I'd rather watch. I think I'd probably still rather watch I Party with Victorious because I like the Victorious gang a lot and it's nice to see them. However, this is definitely the better film and the better written film as well. The pacing was snappy and in a more natural way than the former. Party with Victorious felt like it went on a little bit because not a lot was going on. There was random. That's a bad example of when I said the like F-plot stuff. Like Psychowitz trying to scare Beck. What's that about? It could have worked if they did something better with it than just have him like perv under a swimming pool. I thought that was a bit weird, but there was none of that in here that I noticed. Although I did notice that at the start it said like this film is rated PG because of sex references. I didn't pick up any sex references throughout this whole film. So maybe I need to watch it again and note down all the sex stuff. But yeah, weird. I don't know why Kyoko and Yuki targeted the iCarly gang because like it's not like it was just those two head to head. Like if it was just those two, I'd think fair enough. It makes sense for them to take out the competitors, but there were other people. Like why didn't they take out the guy with the poopette? Why did they go straight for iCarly for? And we don't ever see them unless I missed it. Because I remember as a kid seeing Kyoko and Yuki watch iCarly in the episode and be like, they're so good. So if we'd have seen that, maybe I missed it. I feel like that was in there when I was a kid. So maybe Mandela effect. But if we would have seen them going, iCarly are the best ones that we're up against, let's take them down, that would have made more sense than just randomly going for them. Because it's not like the poopette guy wasn't funny. He wasn't funny to us, but if you look in the iWeb Awards, the entire audience are laughing at him, thinking that he's great. So, I don't know why they just took down iCarly. It makes no sense to me because they could still lose to Poopette Guy. The resolution is clever. Unlike I Party with Victorious where they literally just live stream on iCarly, hey, this is a cheating man. This was clever. I don't know how Freddie like hacked the camera system or whatever, but I don't care. It was cool, it was funny, and then Sam and Carly miming won them the iWeb Awards because it was their sketch that they were doing and they didn't even know. That's a really clever resolution and I'm really satisfied with that. I didn't come away going, oh, like I did with Party with Victorious, because that film was predictable from the off. Two girls have a cheating boyfriend who are using them. They come together to defeat the boyfriend. Oh my god, what a shock. This, I just didn't know where it was going, and I'd seen it before. So it was really clever, and I was really satisfied with the resolution of this thing. It's really solid. I like this film. I love a happy ending, and obviously they won the iWeb Awards, and we end on that massive triumphant moment where they are just on the stage and everyone's clapping for them, and Mrs. Benson and Spencer are watching from the side. I love them. I really like Mrs. Benson. She's the star of this film for me. The only downside I have, and it is a big downside unfortunately, is the microchip thing. Like, I wish I could look past that, but it's just so convenient, and it annoys me because it could have so easily been solved in a much better way. Now I don't know if the chip comes back. Something tells me the chip comes back later on in actual iCarly, the TV show, but I don't know if it does. So yeah, it's a fun watch. I definitely recommend rewatching it if you haven't seen it since you were a kid, so get on it. I'm gonna give I Go to Japan a 4.7 out of 5. It is just that chip thing, really, unfortunately. It really does make me feel like annoyed every time I think about it. So unfortunately I have to rank it down for that. But have you seen it recently? I Go to Japan. If you haven't seen it, rewatch it. And if you have seen it, let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you're new around here, drop a like if you enjoyed, drop a dislike if you didn't enjoy. It's absolutely fine. The button's there, so use it. Subscribe if you're new. I post a couple of times a week here talking about film and TV. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, it means the absolute world. Thank you for watching. I've been Sam. I'll see you later, and ta-ra.